What's up YouTube, Gushi here. In this video we're going to be going over the infinite Heavenly Strike build. With this build you're going to be able to spam Heavenly Strike as many times as you want. I'll be going over the skills that you need, all the charms I have equipped and where to get them, as well as the armor set that I used and a couple of alternative options. So the main skill that we're going to need is the Heavenly Strike, which is the first mythic tail that you can get in Act 1. And this is the main move that we're going to be spamming because it only uses one resolve. The second thing that we absolutely need for this build is the charm of Fortunate Return. This charm states that abilities that use resolve have a 15% chance to refund one resolve. You can get two of these, one from a side quest called A Healthy Man Has All He Needs, which is available in Act 2, and the second is from one of Masako's tales, which is available in Act 1. So with two of these, our chance to get one resolve back goes up to 30%, and then we're going to boost that with two Charms of Fortune, which brings our total chance to get one resolve back up to 60%. Charm of Fortune 1 can be acquired by completing the side tail Peace for the Divine, and Charm of Fortune 2 can be acquired by one of Ishikawa's tales, specifically the 8th tale called Friends in Passing. And so these are the baseline for both variations of the build. The first variation that I'm going to be going over does a little less damage but is more reliable at getting resolve back, so that you never run out of resolve to spam Heavenly Strike. The second variation is more of a damage focused build, and this lets you two-shot enemies, even the green tiered Mongols. If you want to learn more about the different tiers of Mongols, check out my video, which I'll post the card right here and link down below, where I go over all the enemy frame data and animations, and then tier them by ranking their difficulties. So with this first variation, we're going to be using the Kensei armor. I know everyone uses this for the ghost weapon buff and the enemy debuff, but in this case we're going to be using it for the 30% increase in resolve gains. So along with this 30% resolve gains, we're going to be using two charms that will buff this as well. And these are the Charm of Resolve 2, which you can get from the 5th tale in Masako's questline called The Fool, and Charm of Resolve 1, which you can get through either a side tale called Valley of Sake, or the 2nd tale in Masako's questline called The Headman. So adding up all these numbers, the total amount of resolve gains that we get is 70%. And what makes this so good is that this procs when you get that one resolve back from the Charm of Fortunate Return. So check this out. I'll pull up on these guys and then use Heavenly Strike. So I'm starting off with around 2.5 bars of resolve. When the move is registered, then I drop down to 1.5. And then when Fortunate Return kicks in, it fills up to a little bit more than 3 bars. We'll use Heavenly Strike again. Again, it drops down to a little bit more than 2 bars. And when Fortunate Turn procs, I jump up to almost 4 bars. And so with a 60% chance of Fortunate Return proccing, you're actually going to be gaining resolve. And so along with getting resolve back from Fortunate Return, there are 2 other ways that you can get resolve back. Since Heavenly Strike has a chance to terrify nearby enemies, when this does happen, you should always prioritize following up on these kills. As you can see in this clip, it gives you 2 full bars of resolve back. And so the second way you can get resolve back is just by killing enemies regularly. In this example, I have a little bit less than 1 bar of resolve, and then after I kill this enemy, then I have around 1.5 bars. That gives me the chance to use Heavenly Strike on this next guy, which then procs Fortunate Return, which then lets me rack up resolve. And so one really good benefit of using Heavenly Strike is that it could stun enemies out of their unblockable attacks. So usually when you face these brutes and the red indicator pops up, if you attack normally, their animation will follow all the way through. But with Heavenly Strike, they stagger. So if you see an enemy behind you that is about to attack, you can always switch targets to stun them. Also, every time you get a kill with Heavenly Strike, so as you can see, once I kill this guy, then the enemy beside him drops his hands and moves back a little bit. So even though the enemies aren't terrified and run away, killing enemies still has this stun effect. And after playing with this build, I think the percent chance that Heavenly Strike terrifies enemies is around 15 to 20%. Alright, so next we're going to be going over to the second variation of this build. And with this variation, we're actually going to be switching armors to the Ronin attire. And I wanted to give this a shout out because I don't see this in many builds. So with this variation, we're going to be focusing on melee damage. And with the Ronin attire, this increases it by 30%. To stack that even further, we're going to be switching out our resolve charms and replacing them with the Charm of Dual Destruction. And so these charms each give a 10% chance to deal double damage. And with the Charms of Fortune that we already have equipped, that brings that number up to 40%. So as you can see in this example, I take down this green Mongol with only 2 hits. And this is way faster than our previous variation, which took 5 hits to kill them. A tip to keep in mind is that missing a Heavenly Strike attack actually doesn't take up resolve. So sometimes I use the attack just to close distance, or just spam just because I can. And so of course with this build you're going to be sacrificing your resolve gains for damage. So you're going to have to mix in a couple of regular attacks along with your Heavenly Strike attacks. And so that's everything you need to know about the infinite Heavenly Strike build. If you end up trying this out, let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. If you learned something new, give this a thumbs up as it really helps me out. And if you want to check out more Ghost of Tsushima builds, subscribe to always keep up with all the videos I upload. With that, I'll leave the gameplay rolling. Thanks for watching and peace.
No shot!